Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to look at our kind of what our new norm is right now. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on so you can get notified of new videos, and also check out the Telegram channel in the description below. So one of the things we've spoken about is the move that we've been in since March, this general uptrend that we've continued to be in month after month, and we've been following it every step of the way. And I took the liberty of calculating out, this. Obviously, these are imaginary lines, but just looking at, say, the bottom to the peak and averaging out how much were we going up on average every single day. And actually, if you just take an average over these couple months, we went up around $97 per day during this time period. You can see that we've recently broken sideways. Okay. In the last move up, you can see we also went up fairly quickly at around $110 a day. So this move here actually was a little bit slower than the move we saw last year in 2019. And even though this move felt fairly impressive, for those that were around in 2019, you also remember how amazing this move felt. And for those who were around in 2020, these moves were just dwarfed by this move here. And while this move here took a lot longer, it was, over the course of several years, it still, I think, averaged around $20 or $30 a day in movement up. Now, clearly we know that a lot of that price movement took place near the top, because if you just say take, this first channel here, you kind of go up slower, and then once you get near the all-time high or the previous all-time high, this is where you see Bitcoin really break out and go into its more parabolic phase. And we've seen this with other market cycles too. With Bitcoin, I mean, here if you go back even further, you can kind of see this stuff exist in terms of drawing these same or similar trend lines anyways. If we just go all the way over, you can say draw a trend line from here to here, kind of our slower move up, and then ultimately speaking our more parabolic move from here to here, or say here to here. Whatever it is, you can kind of see the general trend of we first get into that slower move up, and then it's followed by a parabolic move later on. Now, where does that bring us today? Well, I also put on here, what our average has been when we went down. So during this time period, we were going down on average of $35 a day. Clearly, this is a little bit more hand wavy in a sense, because you can see a lot of this, a lot of the final drop took place after it actually went back up again. But I just put it on there so you guys can see in general the moves up have been a lot quicker than, or the moves up have been a lot quicker in general than the move down. Obviously, if you were looking at, say, the single daily candle that dropped all the way down, it's a bit of a different story. But the point is, the main point that I want to draw your attention to is this band here that we've now entered. So it's basically between a price of around 8,700, 8,800, which, by the way, is approximately the 50-week moving average. 8,740 is currently where that band is kind of running sideways. If you look at it on a daily, you can see we came up, we've peaked at around 10,000, and then we've been going down and back up a few times. But what's interesting is that we are starting to move sideways. And if we can hold this, if instead of, say, breaking down or breaking up, I mean, there's always a chance we just stay in this channel. I tend to think that it's more likely to break one way or another in the short term. But if you go back and look at a prior market, the prior bull market, let's say back in 2016 or so, once you saw this this short-term parabolic move here, we came back down, back up, back down, and then we moved sideways for a while. Now let's look to see how long we move sideways. So in this situation, if you were just to take it from here to here, we were essentially moving sideways for 84 days. If you're a little bit more liberal in your definition of moving sideways, then you may even say we were there for half a year, where the price of Bitcoin didn't really do a whole lot. There was finally a breakout But then ultimately you can see that it came back down, and we were in another accumulation phase where the price of Bitcoin didn't really do a whole lot for a long time. Here it was another 2 months or so before you really started to see it really start to move up again. Now I expect in lieu of say lengthening cycles, I expect that we're going to experience a lot of these phases where the price it just isn't going to be as exciting as a lot of people want, unfortunately. A lot of times, in general, investors just want to see the price either going up or down so that they can capitalize on volatility, especially if they're, say, day trading or swing trading. But when the price moves sideways, it's just not as exciting of a time. But you have to remember that this is likely something that will happen during this market cycle. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's likely for us to stay on this channel for, say, half a year. But again, back then, I didn't expect us to stay at that price either for half a year. But if we were to move, within this channel for half a year, say similar to a time in the last market cycle, then it literally could, it could take us till October before we break out of this band, and that means we could maybe oscillate between $8,200, $8,300 to $10,000 if we were to repeat what happened, some of the things that happened in the last market cycle. Now, it's interesting because if you take a look here at what's going on, if you plot the 50-day moving average, so we've come up to the 50-week, right? We showed that. You can see the 50-week is here, and now it was holding support once we got into this band, and now we've briefly jumped above the 50-week moving average. So the yellow line is the 50-week. Also, just for so you can note, the 20-week is getting closer to the 50-week, so we're likely going to see them cross at some point in the next, say, couple months or so, I would imagine. So you might actually see this cross, which also happened in the last market cycle. But it's interesting because if you go back to the daily chart and you plot the 50-day, it comes right up to where we currently are. So, while this candle, a lot of people, don't want to see, 10% moves or 9% moves to the downside in a single day or a couple days. This one was a single day. Really, in the grand scheme, this is nothing. In fact, it's still, so far we're still even holding the 50-day moving average, which I don't even really consider to be that much of a support line in the first place. I would more so consider the 50-week at 8,300, 8,800 or 8,700, the 20-week at 8,200 to 8,300 to be larger areas of support. So really, until we break this, if we break this, we're probably going to go back down. I could see us going down to the 50-week moving average. But at the same time, don't be surprised if we do come back up and test 10K again. We've always said that a move, to 12K, 13K, 14K this summer is always on the cards. Never discount something like that. You could always see shorter term bubbles pop up and then kind of flatten out a bit over the next year or so until we really build up momentum for that six-figure Bitcoin over the next few years. So keep in mind that while we saw this move to the downside, it does not necessarily mean that we have to go down to the 200-week moving average. Clearly this is the bearish scenario. If you were to plot the 200-week, it's all the way down here at around $6,000. But we may not visit the 200-week moving average again during this market cycle. It's possible that the next time we visit the 200-week moving average is in 2024 or 2023. And again, maybe we visit it later in the year. Maybe we visit it, say, the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021 at $7,000 or $7,500. So no one can really predict the market. I would just say in the short term, I would just say, stick to your plan, because your plan is ultimately, I think, what's going to be a good decision for you. This is not financial advice. This is just being in the markets for a long time. The day trading aspect is very difficult. And ultimately speaking, if you are day trading, your opportunity cost on losing Bitcoin could be huge, because if you say lose one Bitcoin day trading, that could be worth $100,000 in a few years. or even the $50,000 or $150,000. So the opportunity cost is really large, and this is why I don't focus on day trading on this channel. But I thought it's interesting to see the similarities between this move that we had in 2019 and then this one in 2020. Obviously, we're going to want to hold our current level because if you look back in time, we haven't really spent a whole lot of time moving sideways within, between say 8,700 to $10,000. You can see typically we just kind of go through it. We don't really spend. I guess let me go back to the daily chart. We either just go up and down. This one we just shot through it, came back down. We're mostly above it. When we got back to it, we just fell directly through it. So we haven't really spent a whole lot of time moving sideways during this band. If you go even further back, you can see even in this phase, we shot past this range, and then when we came down, we shot past it. Again, not really a whole lot of moving sideways within the 8,500 to 10K region. So while this may seem boring, this is also, I think, really important for the health of the overall market cycle because if we can move sideways, I certainly think it's more likely that we either move to the upside or the downside. But on the off chance that we move sideways for the next several months, crypto could get very boring in terms of people just getting really anxious. They want to see a move, but at the same time, these reaccumulation periods I think are important for Bitcoin. So whether we see say the reaccumulation phase in this region or we see it in a different band is obviously up for debate. But we'll keep following the move to see what happens in the long term. Right now, the 50-day moving average seems to be holding the price as support in the short term, and if we can continue to hold that, then again, don't be surprised to see us jump back to 10K in the short term. If you see us fall below, the 50-week and then the 20-week below that are likely our next stops. If you see us start to move below this, so. I hope you guys enjoyed the channel. I don't usually just pull up TradingView, but I thought it's nice once in a while to just pull up TradingView and show some of the trends that I'm looking at on the macro scale. Of course, if you look at the weekly, the weekly time frame, clearly we've been moving up for the most part. Unless something changes tomorrow, then this will be a red candle. But note, we're still well above even the 50-week moving average and even further above the 20-week. So, in the long run, this movement to the downside to $9,400 is really just par for the course. Even if this is the beginning of a bull market, it essentially is meaningless. Remember, we know that Bitcoin is going to go down 5 to 10% a lot of days during this market cycle. We've shown the data several times. We've looked at it. Basically looking at bars on a chart to identify all the 5% moves, all the 10% moves to the upside and the downside. We know it's going to happen frequently, and I would just say again, stay resolute and don't let it bother you. So if you guys like the content, again, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you have any thoughts on the video, and also be sure to check out the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. You can get access to a weekly report, a weekly premium video, and access to the Google Sheets dashboard that has a lot of live risk metrics. So the premium content, the premium video this week, will be looking at we've already looked at time spent within each risk band, but now we're going to be looking at time spent between each risk band during each cycle and trying to leverage that information for the current market cycle. So if this stuff interests you, check out the website at intothecryptoverse.com. You can get a discount if you pay in cryptocurrency. Just scroll down and you can pay with crypto. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That'll wrap it up for this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.